spending more time away from home than ever before.
Oh, sorry.
This took a terrible toll on Cox's relationship
He's gonna pass with
years when, in 1957, he fell in love with another woman, Joan Smith.
I was there with her the night that we had dinner at the Criterion restaurant. Jim Science at the Minneapolis McDonald's franchise. And there's this cute blonde playing organ and piano combination whose name was Joan. And I never believed in love at first sight, but he was smitten. And I may have seen a spark in her eye too, I don't know.
In 1961, Kroc ended his 39-year marriage with Ethel and launched a full-scale effort to win over Joan. But Joan decided she couldn't leave her husband.
If Ray could ever be called devastated, it's probably not the right word because he wasn't the type of guy to get devastated, but he was heartbroken. But it didn't last long.
1 year later, Ray moved to California and met a woman named Jane Dobbins Green. After just 2 weeks of dating, he married her. He later admitted that he married Jane out of convenience and that his heart was still with Joan. But Kroc's first love was always McDonald's. From 1958 to 1961, he opened over 200 new restaurants and showed no signs of slowing. Ray and his staff would scout new locations by flying over communities in the company plane looking for church steeples. Ray believed that where there were churches, there were good American families. And that's who he wanted as customers.
That becomes his method for locating his restaurants very early on. Just very gutsy, very intuitive. Now forget the scientific and the quantitative studies, just very intuitive. And once Kroc has that restaurant there, he tells the franchisee, this is how you need to operate. This is the McDonald's system that you're franchising.
Kroc and company developed a 75-page manual that outlined every aspect of running a McDonald's operation. Nothing was left to interpretation. Burgers had to be exactly 1.6 ounces, served with a 1/4 ounce of onion, a teaspoon of mustard, and a tablespoon of ketchup. Fries had to be cut at 9/32 of an inch thick. The manual even specified how often the restaurant needed to be cleaned. Ray wanted perfection and had no tolerance for variations by local operators.
You can't give them an inch. The organization cannot trust the individual. The individual must trust the organization. Any other way would be building on a marshy foundation that could collapse at any time.
Ray Kroc was successful because he had a formula. And as soon as you have somebody monkeying with that formula, that, I think, to Ray Kroc would be the equivalent of somebody on the Ford assembly line saying, well, I think I'll put this mirror on the car a little bit differently.
In 1961, Ray Kroc and his staff came up with a way to exercise even more control over their franchisees.